Good evening. How you all doing? Welcome to The Grip. This is a radio show which looks back at a generation of Caribbean families who relocated to the UK between the 1950s and the 1970s. You've already seen and heard some stories tonight highlighting the reasons and the effects many experienced during the periods of leaving the Caribbean to the UK. Well, tonight, my guest will include psychotherapist Audrey James, who will talk about attachment and trauma. Also, the writer, performer Miles Chambers, who has written some special pieces for The Grip. Very shortly, we will meet Philippa Smith, who will give some context to The Grip as well. But first, let me take you back in time. Let's see a track from Lord Kitchener. London is a place for me.
London is the place for me. London, this lovely city. You can go to France or America, India, Asia or Australia, but you must come back to London City. Well, believe me, I am speaking broad-mindedly. I am glad to know my mother country. I've been traveling to countries years ago, but this is the place I wanted to know. London, that's the place for me. To live in London, you are really comfortable, because the English people are very much sociable. They take you here and they take you there, and they make you feel like a millionaire. So London, that's the place for me. At nights, when you have nothing to do, you can take a walk down Shaftesbury Avenue. There you will laugh and talk and enjoy the breeze and admire the beautiful scenery of London. That's the place for me. Yes, I cannot complain of the time I have spent. I mean, my life in London is really magnificent. I have every comfort and every sport, and my residence is at Hampton Court. So London, that's the place for me.
It takes me back. London is a place for me. So we can really paint the picture behind the reasons why people left during the periods. That's what we looked forward to, and that's what happened with the opportunities. But now, time for my first guest. Philippa Smith is the producer and director of this show, The Grip. Let me welcome Philippa. Good to see you.
Good evening, Kevin.
Great watch.
Yeah.
Great stories. Can you share with us some of the reasons and the drive behind The Grip?
Yeah, so my main inspiration was my own background, really. Just being able to collect the stories really reminded me of some of the stories I've been hearing as we grow up, and the experiences, even my own experience. My story.
What was your experience? Tell us a bit about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, my story is not quite the same as everyone else's, but it's that in reverse, I guess. So I was born in the UK, and at 3 months old, I was taken to Jamaica for various reasons, and I was left with my maternal grandmother. So from 3 years old to 5 years old, that's where I stayed. And I developed a real bond and attachment, not only with my grandmother, but with my aunties and my cousins and my family there. So when
Was
I
that a
was
good thing, you think, at the end of it? Did it come out well? Were you happy
I
coming?
was I was extremely happy. I mean, who's not happy in Jamaica? Jamaica's a beautiful place.
Beautiful island.
Yeah, I had a great life. But you know, at the same time, when you develop a bond and you develop that attachment, it's what happens when that's broken. So at 5 years old, um, it was decided that it was time for me to come back to the UK because I guess my family wanted me to have my education here. And so my grandmother was brilliant. She really prepared me.
Of course.
I know some people live with their grandparents and don't even know that it's their grandparents. They actually think it's their own parents. So my grandmother didn't do that, and I'm really grateful. I was very clear who was who. I was told that I would be going to the UK. I was very excited, but then the day came when it was time for me to go. And I tell you what, it feels like it was yesterday. So, they took me to the airport. My family came to see me off. And I just remember when the chaperone, because I traveled on my own to come back. So when the chaperone came to get me, it's like it suddenly sank in that I was leaving. And I tell you what, I screamed because I didn't want to. Well, it's the unknown. I was 5 years old. And so I was then pretty much dragged through the airport. I had to leave. And I'm still to this day remember the look on my grand's face as she tried to remain brave, as, I could see the pain. And I remember the pain that I felt
Of course.
as I was torn away and that long 9-hour flight, that journey, and not knowing what's on the other side. You hear the theory, you know where you're going, but you don't know because you're 5 years old. And so I remember those stories. So as I collected the stories myself, I could really, as I said, identify with that. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this project. It's been my life's ambition, I guess, and it's my life's work to collect stories, to tell stories, to retell stories. Throughout my education, I chose to go down the performing arts route, and that's what I studied. And so for me, being able to work in the arts and to use the skills that I've obtained to do work like this means everything to me.
Good, good, good. It's good work you're doing and good production so far. What are
Absolutely.
you hoping that people hearing this today will take away and learn? What are you hoping to get from it altogether? What do you expect to happen?
Well, I'm hoping that people will learn to be able to start opening up, to tell their stories, to let others hear their stories. Because when you tell your story, you're not just telling it for yourself, and it's not just beneficial for yourself, it can benefit others as well. And, with this project, I think what was important for me, I've done many projects where I've told the story of people coming from the Caribbean to the UK, but in this instance, we wanted to dig a little deeper. And that's why it's called The Grip. It's like unpacking the grip. There are so many different facets to it. We wanted to look at, I really felt it was important, not just to look at what it was like for people who left their children behind, but what it was like for those who were left behind,
Okay.
and then also what it was like for those who were born here, maybe not knowing that they had siblings that were left behind. And there's so many different angles.
That's correct. Because we're going to unfold some of that this evening and look at some trauma and attachment as well. So I'm going to say thank you so much. This is a lifetime experience that has helped to shape a generation and we are hoping to learn from this tonight. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, very shortly, we'll meet the writer and performer, Miles Chambers. He also has a story to tell, but let's listen to another track. How about that? Let's get Sam Cooke.
I can't take it. I'm so lonely. Gee, I need you so. I can't take it. Oh, I wonder why you had to go. But baby, every night I wake up crying, tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. You on my mind. I remember all the good times that we had before. Oh, I remember, and now my heart, my very soul cries out for more. But baby, all your love for me is dying. Tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. You on my mind. I'll always remember that day you promised to love me. You said you'd love me till the very end. And I'll never forget when you walked away from me. You walked out of my life. You were my very best friend. Oh, baby, every night I wake up crying, tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. You on my mind. Yeah, tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. You on my mind. I got tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. And you on my mind. I got tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. And you on my mind. I got tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. And you on my mind. I got tears on my pillow and pain in my heart. And you on my mind.
It also gives me great pleasure to introduce my next guest, who has been described as a leading and popular poetic cultural commentator. He's an international performance poet, slam champion, and was Bristol City first poet. Please help me welcome Miles Chambers.
Hello, Kevin.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
So many stories tonight. Been
Yes.
exposed to quite a lot. I've learned so much from this, from the group so far. And the stories I'm hearing also resonate with me,
Okay.
my family, because I joined my parents from Nigeria
Ooh.
when I was 16. They
Yeah.
come over here, so.
You're cool with what you're saying.
Yeah, man.
Nigerian.
What I tell you. So,
I think Jamaicans, some of them originate from Nigeria, because I see
Ghana, Nigeria,
similarities.
yeah.
But I won't take you
So
off
it's
your-
all our story. I don't see any, someone saying, "Oh, were they Africans or were they Caribbean?" I say to myself, "What are you asking? What question is that? You mean were they black? Were they African?" That's what I want to hear. I don't have divisions in all those. Anyway, let's move on because we have a
Yes.
great show tonight. Like I said, we've been exposed to so many stories. I have to say, resonates with me and yourself.
Yeah.
It'd be good to hear what your
Well,
family story is in context to the group.
Context is good.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, I do have an older sister that stayed in Jamaica with my auntie until she was 6. When she came over, I was 1 year old, so I can't remember. But I can't remember when she came over. I do remember her being there. But yeah, she came over later. My mother had 4 children here, and we grew up together in Wiltshire. And obviously, my elder sister from Jamaica. I'm not going to say her name because he doesn't know I'm doing this. Because it's kind of a hush-hush thing, really. I mean, when Philippa told me about this, I said, "Oh yeah, that happened to my sister." I didn't know that this happened it was so common. I thought it was this incident or story was unique to my sister. So yeah, she came over and obviously lived with my mum, and there was a breakdown in the relationship, and eventually she went into foster parents when she was 15. But she was a beautiful daughter, model student, model sister. She was one of the first black girls to pass 11 plus in Trowbridge, which was the high school then. And she went on to Great Ormond Street to study medicine, which, but from what I'm hearing and understanding, that bond that she had for 6 years in Jamaica may have created some kind of rupture, but my mum had spiritual reasons and has said it was God's will that this happened. And yeah. But yeah, that's my story.
So, I mean, I know you're going to be here with me on the show throughout the evening, but
Yes.
it's just be good to know, to understand how that dynamics affected your family during the time. Was there
Well,
any?
yeah, obviously, my other sister, who was the second eldest, who at the time, obviously, when my older sister came from Jamaica, there was that tension because she was already the oldest person in the family, and now someone else was coming over. And although she was quite young, so I don't know why that would evolve, but they do say your personality and character gets molded in the first 7 years. So there was a kind of tension there, but they did resolve it
Kind of
later
tension
on.
between
Between the first and second older sisters. Yeah, because she was established, she was born there, she grew up in the house, and now my older one's coming from Jamaica and joining. And I do remember them arguing quite a bit, but they've resolved all of that now. But yeah, and I mean, sort of, she kind of paved the way for us because she'd gone to this high school. We were in a catchment area to go to another school, but because she'd gone there, we all ended up going to this school, which was a better school in the end. And yeah, they all highly respected her and said she was model student and prefect and all this kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get some more out of you this evening anyway, hopefully. You've written 4 special pieces for the group.
Yeah. Tried. I tried.
Okay, let's hear the introductory one that you've
Yeah,
got.
this one's-
I think this one here is quite powerful, and yeah, let's hear it.
It's called Grab Your Grip.
Okay,
Yeah?
let's
So
go
do
for it.
Grab your grip. Pack all your emotions in a case. Unite stolen memories and caress neglected souls who's been displaced. Let the smuggled mango make siblings smile and wipe your tears. Keep postcards of the Caribbean sun. Let it be a reminder of how you spent those neglected years. Grab your grip. Bash the dominoes hard and knock out all your fears. Fix your hat. Straighten your collar. You're wearing your Sunday best. It's time to meet your peers. I know this isn't easy. Perhaps you don't want to go. I hear you. Why am I leaving mother, who I born and grow, my only matrimony, to be with someone I've never met? and don't know. Let the breadfruit be a peace offering for the turmoil in your heart. Let that unique Caribbean taste answer the questions of why you and Mama have been torn apart. Grab your grip, pick up your courage, run abandonment with a burnt stick, hug your identity, make friends with your future, offer your excuses to the past. Grab your grip.
Thank you, Miles. Gotta say thank you for that introductory poem. Grab your grip. You hear some more from Miles a little bit later as well. So they traveled miles and many more miles away to seek a better life for their families. As a result, homes were broken, families were divided, children were left without parents, and in some cases, their parents never returned as promised. But I've got to say, there were a lot of happiness, happy reunions, some ending well, and some not so good. Let's welcome Audrey James, who is a psychotherapist and also has a story to tell us. Please give a round of applause. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing very
Looks
well.
nice. I like the colours.
Thank you. I tell you what, you're playing some good tunes tonight because you should have seen us just.
Are you dancing
dancing.
to it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dancing.
that's what
That's
we
the
like.
Caribbean in me, you know.
That's what we like. That's what we like.
That's what we like. Yes.
You know what, Andre? I'm fascinated by the subject matter you've chosen to highlight this evening, by the way. As we talk about the Windrush and the impact on Caribbean families especially, you've chosen to highlight the importance of attachment and the part it plays in our life, and also you'll be saying something around trauma. Yeah?
Yes, that's
And
right.
why those two are connected in so many ways.
Yes. So I just want to first of all say good evening again. Hi, Miles.
Hi.
What you have to say, and I can't see them, but hello.
You don't have to see. There's too many people
helpful.
out
There's
there.
too many people.
So,
I
so,
know.
and you're live on the grip.
I'm live
So
on the grip. Okay.
why have you chosen those two topics?
Well, I've chosen two topics. When Philippa approached me and asked if I would take part in this program and talk about the Windrush generation, the first thing that came to mind, and she was saying, oh, what topics would you cover? What subject matter? And I thought it was easy because as I listened to the recordings and watched the film and thought of my own personal experience of being a part of the Windrush generation, there was only two things I thought about was broken attachment and also the part that trauma plays with that. So it was easy for me to think of that because when I hear the stories and my story, what we hear is rupture. And there is an impact on individuals when there is that broken attachment, when there is rupture. Because I remember when I was wrenched, literally wrenched from my grandmother. Oh my days, that's a book in itself. But yeah, it was very, very painful and very traumatic.
Keep hearing broken attachment. Attachment. What do you mean by attachment? Just give me some light on that.
Yeah, attachment. If I was to say attachment, and I'll also use the word attunement, because what you have when a child is born, immediately, if I think about when I had my first son, when he was born, it was almost like this magical rope just bound us together, you know. And then the attunement comes in as a mother when you are feeding your child, whether it's on the breast or whether it's on the bottle, and you look and there's that gaze. Attunement is happening. They're looking at you and they're reading your face, and that attachment grows.
It builds a bond.
Yeah, it builds a bond, and that is so crucial to our well-being, and also sets the scene or sets the blueprint for how we navigate other relationships in our adult life.
Okay, so we're going to listen to two clips. You've chosen a few clips tonight, but
Yeah.
let's start with Joyce Bennett and Venita Bryan. This is about belonging. Let's hear
Yes.
these clips.
Okay.
My sister and myself, Novla, we were left with both grandparents. So we would spend, say, 6 months or 3 months with one grandparent, and then we'd go to the other. And it was quite confusing. You never felt as if you belonged anywhere. That's what I always felt. I never felt as if anything was mine.
I can relate to what you're saying about that feeling of not belonging.
Yes.
Because I never felt that I quite belonged with the rest of the children in the yard, because they would tell me that I would be going to England at some point. You know, so there was always that expectation that I'm not going to be here. And so this isn't really my home. So that was a bit unsettling.
Voices of Joyce Bennett and Venita Bryan. What is the significance of belonging?
Well, as I said in my introduction, when you have attachment refers to an emotional bond, that you know you belong to somebody. But from what Verita was saying, and Joyce, well, especially Verita was saying that she was always told, I remember listening to the video in more detail, that she would be going away. So then that creates the sense of unsettlement of then where do I belong? I thought I belonged here, but I'm going to go away. Well, where am I going to go? To a country that I don't, to a country I don't know. So that creates a lot of unsettlement, and could also be can create anxiety in children. And so what I'd like to say here is that as I refer to the clips that we're talking about, I'm just using it as an example. I'm not here to pathologize anyone, but using these clips as an example of what could be going on.
So, okay, I think it's good to listen to another clip now from Verita Bryan.
Yeah.
And this is where she talks about not being able to express herself, especially to her mother. Let's hear that clip.
Sense of being good.
Because I perceived myself to be somewhat distant from the family, there was always this thing with me that I had to be good. And so as I was the quiet one and I was the good one, I had to behave myself because I might be left again, because I was left. Yeah, the others weren't left, I was left. And so I never openly rebelled against my mum's authority at all. I was always quietly compliant, but I had my own ways of rebelling on the quiet so that I wouldn't get into trouble, and that I could never be held up as the one that was causing a problem.
Speaks about her personality there quite a lot. So why have you chosen that particular clip?
Well, that particular clip I've chosen because as children, they have a miraculous way of getting or creating their coping strategy. And or in other terms, we sometimes use this, we call it defenses. But it's a miraculous, I call it a saving grace, miraculously, because they're not aware of what they're doing, but they create this coping strategy around them. And for Verita, her coping strategy was being good. Some individuals, their coping strategies as children is daydreaming, going off into their mind, into their own world, listening to the tape again thoroughly. I know Verita delved a lot into her books. So her coping strategy was to be good.
Okay. So do you see her survival strategy as an example of being good?
Absolutely, because she said that her fear, when I listened to it, and this is now with my psychotherapist hat on, is when I listen to that, when she's saying she's being good, what I'm hearing is that she feels that she has to be good because there's the fear of a second abandonment. Because as she said, you heard her say in the tape, that if she was good, she wouldn't be left again. So that is very painful for her. So get these strategies or these defenses in place. Let me pretend to be good or be good in order so I'm not left again. However, those strategies, as I say, while they are, it's a miracle how children create these defenses. They're good as children. It's good to use as children. But there's a problem to that.
Yeah. I want to hear those problems very shortly. Not
Okay.
now. Well, Miles, hearing these stories, how does it resonate with, some
Yeah,
of the household stories you shared
I'm
with us
here.
before?
Yeah, sorry. Finish your question. I really relate to what Audrey's saying because, as I said earlier, my elder sister who came from Jamaica, she was perfect, and maybe she had that she thought I'll be good and not make any mistakes. She was just the model, as I said, daughter, sister, and a student, and yeah, maybe she had that concept. But ironically, in our situation, she eventually did leave. So maybe Audrey needs to sit down on the couch. Maybe that in her psychology said I wasn't good enough. I still wasn't good enough. I mean, I have briefly spoken to, because she's a very intelligent woman, and quite high up in the medical profession. So yeah, I'd be interested to see how she feels about it.
You think the drive, I mean, now you say she's a medical doctor.
Yeah,
is
she
that
was
right?
in-
Okay.
yeah,
You think the
yeah.
drive she brought from home
Well,
at the
that's
time,
the
you
other
think
thing I
that's
know.
what really
I think
pushed her?
when you move from somewhere else and come to somewhere else, you appear to be more ambitious.
Yeah.
than
Or is it the
someone
discipline
that's-
that you think
Yeah.
she experienced from?
From my auntie, yeah, perhaps, and perhaps England was seen as the land of opportunity, wasn't it? And there's so much more you can do from benefiting from being here. Location. So she was aware of that, knew that by not staying no longer in Jamaica, she would have much more opportunities and much more benefits available to her, and she took it.
Audrey, you wanted to share that fascinating story with me?
My fascinating story. Or
No, you were just telling us about becoming adults, how attachment.
Yes, okay. Yes, let me go back to that point. So, as I said earlier on, is that it's a miraculous way that children cope and protect themselves. And the issue comes, or the problem comes, when that same coping mechanism is at play in adulthood, when they form relationships. Because what is happening, these strategies, what's happening is that whilst they're good to keep you safe or to prevent the unthinkable happening, it also prevents their emotional needs being met. So when these strategies are in place, fear of sharing how we really feel. So for example, again, Verita, fear of sharing that I don't want to be left again.
Okay.
That's an emotional need, and so the emotional needs just goes unmet.
Yeah.
And so in adulthood, if you work through adulthood and those strategies remain, relationships suffers because the joy of intimacy cannot be established because you're always frightened of being left. So a lot of individuals will stay in toxic environments, toxic relationships.
Yeah, I can understand the toxicity around it as well. I'm going to get some more from you. But Miles, does Cynthia's doll mean anything to you? Because that sounds like a poem.
It means a little bit to me, yeah.
Please,
I've got
please,
something
Miles.
here with the same title. Do you want me to?
Right there, Miles. Another poem from Miles.
I just came in from school today. Grandma gave me a special treat. A pretty doll. The label on her padded box says, Hamleys of London, Oxford Street. She's cute, with playful blonde hair, adored in a carefully stitched silk, pink and white frilly baby suit. She's got big, bright blue eyes with pink rosy cheeks and a matching bonnet and boots. I smile when I look at my doll. I feel so special. My cousins are envious of me. I'm told it's a gift from England, from my parents, but I don't know the name of my English mummy. I'll play with her amidst our fields of banana trees. I won't lose her. I don't want her to think she's been abandoned, you see. I'll bathe her and wash her hair, keep her smart and clean, just like me. She looks about 1 year old, her chubby white arms stretched out, yearning to be caressed. I'll cradle her in my arms, never leave her. She'll know her mother loved her the best. I have a special doll. My cousins cut their eye like they do when I wear my silver watch. Grandma said, take some photographs. It's too precious. Put it away, back in the box. Let it stay there till you're more grown. Just like the mum I've never known.
Thank you, Miles. Audrey, so many stories, and while there are joys, there was also consequences. We're going to listen to a clip from Shirley. This one is about broken attachments and how that can lead to mental health. Let's hear that clip.
When I had my first child in England, I thought that I would miss the other one so much, but that was the time I really even missed them more, because looking at that child and I think, oh my God, I've got another child there, and I want to give that child that affection that I'm giving this one, and she's so far away, they're so far away. And that really hurt to the point that I get really depressed at one point. Really, really depressed, and I had to go to the doctor. And they had to put me on some antidepressant.
It's very touchy. I have two questions for you.
Okay.
What were you struck by her honesty? And also, what's the difference between normal depression and clinical depression?
Okay, good question. I was struck by Sister Harris's honesty, openness, because, you know, growing up for me, I remember my mother saying, "No, talk your business. I know everybody, you should tell your business too." And so we have this stigma around sharing our emotions. So things get pressed down. You know, we suppress things because we daren't share our emotions or talk our business. So there is a lot of stigma at the moment around mental health within the Black community. So I applaud, you know, everybody, and also Sister Harris, for being able to be open to say, I had depression. You know, I suffered from depression, and I had to go to the doctors and was given antidepressants. And we do get depressed, and we often hear the word going around quite often, you know, I'm depressed, and that could be what I call, you know, like probably a small d depression. And that's a normal response to when you have loss, or you're having a bad day at work, or there's problems within your relationship. You feel depressed, you feel low. But when there's loss, because, you know, you probably heard that there are 5 to 7 stages when it comes to that you go through when you're dealing with bereavement. You know, you feel angry, you feel, then you have to get to acceptance, and there's depression, there's the bargaining, there's shock. But when I listen to what Sister Harris had to say, it reminds me of what we call the clinical depression, because it goes on for a long time. Because when I listen to her story, you know, she had 3 children here, but that didn't stop her from pining and missing so much the 2 children that she had left behind. And so it is with a lot of individuals that came from the Windrush generation. Children that they'd left behind, they were still pining for and missing. So clinical depression, when it goes on for a long time, so yeah, but I'd like to say you can work through clinical depression. You can work through it by being able to process your feelings, by being able to, go and see a therapist to talk, and they can help you locate and process where that feeling is coming from. And I'll put my hands up. I've had to go to the doctors myself because of feeling depressed, and because life sometimes sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, because the existing taboo within our culture as well.
Yes.
We don't want to speak about certain aspects of life.
Absolutely.
Depression is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
When you need help and you keep it all to yourself without you discussing with the next person, just help the situation.
Yes.
Well, we have some more clips, and this next one is from Diane Corey. I must warn you, it's quite sensitive. Let's hear this.
My eldest sister, I do remember her being very caring, loving. I remember when I was around about 10 and she'd moved out of family home, she'd come with all her concoctions to get me better, whether it was oranges, grapes, or mixing her concoctions from Cersei to sorrel to get me well. I do recall her, being hands-on. So that was beautiful. Sadly, my sister passed away when I was 17. She would have been 27. Not really sure the whole picture, but she took her own life. So there was a degree of unhappiness. I don't know whether that could be teamed with some of the trauma of not being close to our parents, whilst having at least 10, 12 years away from them. I know she would have developed her own personality. The crucial parts of when you're developing your personality between the ages of 3 and 9. I think she would, even to this day, still be a little bit concerned or a bit troubled about certain things. But generally, she came across as a very happy person, and she had everything to live for.
So would you say that's a perfect example of how broken attachment can lead to intergenerational trauma?
Yeah, and that clip was quite sensitive, and we don't know everything. But I chose it with the permission of Diane because it shows the other end of trauma and what can happen if things are not processed, if we're not able to talk, and the pain that one carries. And I think when I listened to this tape and others, there was a double broken attachment here because her leaving your home, your country, leaving your surrogate, whether it's your grandmother or your aunt. So first of all, parents leaving, so that's one loss. And then the second loss comes several years later when the person that you've been attached to, you're also taken away from them. So that's a double, and then you come to a country that can be back in the day and still is sometimes quite hostile, racism and all those things you have to contend with. So yeah, that is a very sensitive one, and I'm just sorry for that loss.
I mean, the whole project has brought alight a lot of stories, as you've been learning tonight. We have one more clip from you. I think this one's quite different. This is from Phyllis Black. She expresses gratitude to the team of the group. Let's hear this.
Just pleased to know that you guys are trying to do something like that to bring these things out in the wider world, especially with our younger people who doesn't know the ramification of what went on with people like us who came here in the early 60s or late 50s. And we have risen to a point now that our children are making us proud, because we came here, some of us, not very highly educated, but we always try to say, you have to do better than us. The sky is the limit. And we encourage them, and we can see the difference, and we can feel proud.
From what I can certainly hear, there are a lot more stories to be told. Just hearing the reverse barrel children who went back home, wherever, Africa, Caribbean. I think that story needs to come out, so I won't be surprised to see many parts of the grip coming up right here on this station. Miles,
Oh, me?
dear Cynthia,
Yes.
that me I say,
Dear Cynthia.
the floor is yours.
Dear Cynthia, I'm writing my first airmail letter to you. I asked Mummy, and she said this would be a nice thing to do. My name is Jennifer, your little sister. On Friday, I'll be 9. I'll send you photos of what I get for my birthday when I write another time. Here, we don't have mango trees. We have large oaks in the wintertime. They look dark and scary and sway in the breeze. I know Jamaica's always warm. Here, it gets cold sometimes. White flakes fall from the sky and they look like talcum powder, but they are cold. When it falls, they cover everything and it looks fresh and white and new, even on the buildings which are really old. Dear Cynthia, I know you live with Granny on a big farm with banana and coconut trees and plenty of chickens and goats. We live in a big house and I share a room with your other sister, Novlet. And Norman, your brother, has his own room. It's massive and he always gloats. Our house is on an avenue with trees all down one side. We're so happy here. We're one complete family and it fills me with pride. The last place we lived, we shared with other people. We hardly had any space. When we wanted to have a hot bath before the electric ran out, it was always a race. Most of the neighbors were fine, but there was this man who used to like shouting about Hitler. One time, Daddy went outside to talk with him with Uncle Roy. He didn't shout anymore. He was fine after that. Have you heard of Hitler? How are the policemen in Jamaica? I bet they're really strict. Don't always treat you the best. They're really friendly here. I remember walking home with Daddy and they stopped us and asked us if we were lost and if we knew our address. One thing I did like about our old place was Daddy was always at home. It was good to spend so much time with him. Now he spends long hours away while we're left on our own. Daddy and Mummy slept in separate rooms for a while. I guess Daddy has a lot of things. They're back sharing together now. I know they're happier because sometimes in the evening, Mummy sometimes sings. The spare room is going to be in your room. Daddy painted it the colors you like. He's getting a new wardrobe and there's even talk of a bike. I know you have such a colorful uniform that you wear marching to school in the sun. Norman's at big school and has a nice uniform. He's lucky because lately he's been coming home early. He must have got all his work done. It's lovely to write to you, Cynthia. I hope you've been getting all the gifts Mum told us she sent. When I was younger, I remember this beautiful doll she bought you. Did you get it? Did it make you content? I can't wait to see you. I've imagined how you might look. My big sister coming to England to look after me. When you come, bring me a mango, some breadfruit from Granny's tree. Bye-bye. Right back quickly.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Miles. Thank you. Audrey, it's almost the end of the show, but before you go, I want some final words from you.
Well, my final words to everyone is, first of all, to thank everyone that had allowed us into the recesses of your minds to tell us your stories, you allowed us to stir up your memories. And also I want to encourage everyone in here to think about talking about their story. Because when we don't talk, we allow the pain to sit, that's when it can start to affect us mentally and also physically. Because as a therapist, when clients come into my office, I always notice how they carry themselves, if they're bending, what they're carrying with them. And it's so nice at the end of it, this freedom they feel, because I think a lot of us, if not all of us, want that sense of freedom. So don't allow the pain of your past to hold you in a prison state. You can set yourself free. And I do love Bob Marley, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. So it's for us to take that action. And when I think of, Bob Marley, I also think of a scripture verse where the Lord says, do you want to be made whole? And if we can answer that, because I'm sure all of us want to be made whole, want to be well. So keep well, think about your mental health. And if you need to seek therapy, let's get rid of that stigma about no talk your business. Talk your business and set yourself free.
Audrey James. Miles, so we've had Cynthia's doll.
Yeah.
Dear Cynthia.
Yeah.
What about why I left you, Cynthia?
I haven't got it. Yes.
You know what that means? I need you there one more time.
One more time.
One more time, Miles.
Mate.
For the last time.
Why I left you, Cynthia. Cynthia, you are my first. The day the Lord blessed me with you, you are my treasure, a replica of the better rendition of me. My treasure, the one who made my matrimony, angel child, God's gift of grace and mercy. I look at you and held you in my arms, and my protective, providing nature warmed you in my heart as I stroked your palms. I thought I want the best possibility. Jamaica offered me less opportunity. The UK was calling me. I looked at my princess and her queen and king decided to build a kingdom befitting her royalty, which meant going overseas. Leaving you behind with your granny. I'd set up home and bring you to me immediately. I know those first 7 years are precious, but this wasn't our reality. We were met with much honesty. One room in a shared house was an impossibility. Eventually, a bigger house offered us more stability. More children to serve made me ache for our unity. My gift of dolls and clothes let you know that I was pining for our reality. We built a home and have given a better life. I had to leave to make this a possibility. I never wanted you to leave. I always wanted you by my side. You are my bright and morning star. You are why the sons of God shouted for joy and the angels sang. You mean everything to me.
Thank you very much, Miles and Audrey, for being my guest on The Grip this evening. So, the many experiences we've had today have, as expected, brought to light some adversities. It was a happy move for many, I believe. But we must remember that during the period in question, there was little or no opportunities for Black people. So tonight, I ask the question, if a better life is what we all desire for our family, would you make that move? Thank you. I'd like to finish up by introducing our artist of the evening. Please make some noise for Trisha.
Many rivers to cross, but I can't seem to find my way over. I've been wandering lost as I travel along white cliffs of Dover. Many rivers to cross, and it's only my will that keeps me alive. I've been licked, washed up for years, and I merely survived because of my pride. And this loneliness won't leave me alone. It's such a drag to be on my own. My man left me and he didn't say why. I just guess I'll have to try. I've got many rivers to cross, but just where